And we're talking about, we've mentioned technology, but this is above and beyond just stuff.
Yeah,
I
like
mean, stuff is part of it,
right?
but yeah,
Like
yeah,
the idea behind healing will get completely revolutionized. What we interpret medicine and healing in that same dimensional physicality as we interpret computers, right? Like right now, I know we want to use fancy words such as like we hold data in the cloud, but the truth is we still have a chunk of electronic components
yeah,
holding that data. Medicine or healing is kind of going to go through that same shift, just like the computers, right? We will be holding data in the cloud. Uh, you know, cloud is an esoteric. I will not use cloud as a physical term, right? But the esoteric idea of what it is to
yeah,
hold data in the cloud. Medicine will basically be that,
yeah,
to where we will not be interpreting medical healing as a physicality, like, oh, literally swallow this thing, right? And then this thing then does something to your body. We will start interpreting things from what they are and not actually what we perceive them to be.
right. There's a handful of people, a lot of whom are actual bona fide MDs who, Zach Bush is one of them.
Mhm.
You know, he was an MD for, he still is an MD, but he was a practicing what we would call a normal doctor for many years, and eventually he's like, "We're doing this all wrong." You know, there's like acute things like you broke your arm and then you got to fix it up, and then there's like the chronic things, which honestly are the more serious ones most of the time that affect us, and we as a society don't seem to properly understand the causes of these and or how to treat them properly other than with, well, this pill seems to maybe sometimes help, so we'll just give this to everybody
Yeah.
with but there's now that has side effects and you have to have this other pill to counter the side effects. And
Yeah, but right from the beginning, it's like I will every single time I say that I'm like, oh, people are gonna flip the fuck out. But it's so simple. The acute things stem from prolonged holding of density.
the chronic things,
Yeah,
yeah,
the chronic things, right? So if you have this thing that comes on over time, it is because you held on to density and you allowed the density to
yeah,
accumulate.
yeah,
And so from that standpoint, you will not, if you go into that understanding, just like, oh, hey, how do I get sick to the point where it becomes really bad? And you go, oh, well, guess what? It's because I don't interface with my flow of energy. And then if it gets trapped somewhere, like it just sits.
yeah,
That won't even be an option.
right. I mean, stress is the most obvious and easy example of that. Is that
Yeah, prolonged stress.
prolonged stress? You know, it causes all kinds of crap.
Yeah, but that not addressing of the actual feeling that you have at the moment, not addressing of what you actually feel right now at the moment, how much worry you have about the past, how much worry you have about the future, that that functioning, that blindness of your energetic self, right? It just drives these like silly what would be the most polite word to use? Childlike behaviors of not treating your body as a system that can like take on and let go of things. Do
Hmm.
you know what I mean? If
Yeah,
you perceive your body as something that, oh, well, here's the flow and this is me. And then if something comes in, then it like deposits itself into where it used to do this, but now it has to do this, right? And so like the
yeah,
second you introduce that little thing in, guess what? This is already an interruption in an overall flow.
yeah,
And the second you see that thing causing your system to do this, you'll go, oh, that doesn't seem right. Let me go ahead and remove that. So there's no chronic of anything because you're addressing everything with this understanding of this is what the system is. And unless you're doing this and then you feel your body being able to do this, it will be very obvious if you pipe yourself in to go, wait, all of a sudden, like between yesterday and today, I'm not doing this.
Yeah.
And where's that thing?
I wonder if that could have anything to do with, that conversation with Bill in the office that I'm still thinking about.
Yes, but that's it. That is the rudimentary understanding that we need to switch that, hey, my body is meant to do this. And then if it doesn't, then wait, something there.
Right. I mean, I guess there are like environmental things. If you go, get a couple lungfuls of pure radon or asbestos, something that probably isn't, that could do some damage.
Yes, but again, but you can see that factor. You can see it coming in if it isn't, in fact, environmental and it has nothing to do with your personal stress level, right? Then it present itself the same way. It would present itself as this little
And
pin.
and you should be able to ideally notice that, oh, something's wrong.
Yeah, you'll be able to go, oh, look, the only thing you need to know is if this is the flow, if this is the energetic flow of the entire system, and whether through personal blindness to stress or whether through interaction with a substance that caused, this pin to come in, is today, like, if twice a day you take a reading, right? You take a reading in the morning and you take a reading in the afternoon. If at any point it's not doing this and it's starting to do this, right, then you would automatically address that. You would automatically choose to recalibrate whatever that either outside environmental factor or the internal thought factor that causes the spin.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so we're not then suffering from systematic, what's the word they used?
Endemic disease.
Yeah. Right.
I mean,
where like all of a sudden diabetes is the thing.
Right. I mean,
heart disease
diabetes,
is the thing.
heart disease, cancer, these are all very modern diseases. That's not saying that nobody died in the 800s from these things, but it wasn't, 30% of the population has diabetes, whatever the population. It's some crazy number. It wasn't that.
Yeah, but like the Palladian culture, there's no such thing as sickness. Right? There's no such thing as reduced energy flow. There's no such thing as like, oh, look, this part of me is chunkier than that part, and I'm not addressing it. Do you see what I mean?
Chunkier.
No, but that's what it comes down to. If you are not in tune with this, if you're not in tune with your system, which we're not. That's what it came down to. We're not.
We're absolutely not.
Then you would not know that there's a chunk somewhere that is quite literally disturbing the entire flow of the system. Like to them, the idea of you not recognizing there's a chunk. I mean, to them, the idea of a chunk is even silly. But like, if they look at us, they see our chunk and they're like, what? Right. And they understand that we're just living on this different mindset where somehow we are married to that chunk. We want to hold that chunk. And in fact, maybe we're even nurture that chunk. Yeah. And that's what it came down to. Not only we're not aware of our chunks, we like nurture them.
To us, it would be like, imagine you had like a giant thorn stuck in your arm. It's like you would notice that and you would want to deal with it very quickly.
Yeah.
And the idea that someone has one in there and they're like, I just don't know why, something feels wrong, but I don't know what it is. And it's this giant thorn sticking in and blood's gushing everywhere. And I don't know what's wrong, but something, I don't know. Everything's fine.
Yeah.
We can't even conceive of that. And so that's like it's the same thing.